I would like my extend welcome to our chief guest, today's chief guest, Dr. Shamasundaran K. Sir.
Thank you, madam.
Yeah, Swagatam. And I would like to just brief about him. Dr. Shamasundaran K. currently serves as an assistant professor at the Department of Kriya Shariram at Amrita School of Ayurveda and Research Office, Amritapuri. He has completed his BAMS at Sri Sri College of Ayurvedic Science and Research at Bangalore and MD at SDM College of Ayurveda, Hassan. And he worked as a research coordinator, Apyam Institute of Indigenous Science and Research, Bangalore. He received Rula Awards for International Innovation and Betterment Excellence in Technical Research as Outstanding Young Researcher in Ayurvedic Manuscripts in 2018. And till today, he's written so many articles, journals, and giving presentations related to Ayurveda. I would like to extend a warm welcome to you on behalf of Vyoma family, sir. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much.
Now I'll request our chief guest to speak few words. Shyam Sundaran, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me start with a prayer. Sada Shiva Samarambham Vagbhatacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Very good morning to one and all. At the outset, I would like to thank the organizers of Vyoma-Samskrta Academy for having invited me for this function. And secondly, I would like to thank Dr. Gitanjali, who is a friend of mine, to have invited me and connected me to this vyoma-samskrta-pathasala, and all the listeners who are eager to have to get the knowledge of Ayurveda, the general concepts of Ayurveda, to know about the concepts of Ayurveda. So with this, and thank you very much for the introduction that you have given. I don't know if you also deserve this. Okay, but then, yeah. So basically, what I assume is that the session, the series of classes that were taken here were all about how Ayurveda can be practiced in a person's life. Just how it can be helpful in their day-to-day activities. Mild, small changes that they can bring in, and what Ayurvedic principles they can practice knowingly. Maybe they are practicing knowingly or unknowingly, but how they will, apply it logically and use it more fruitfully. So this actually is a very big step as far as the awareness of Ayurveda is concerned, in especially among the common people. And especially it's not that in India the awareness is big, and in West it is not there. It is always everywhere. People tend to misunderstand Ayurveda a lot. So these types of sessions are, I think, very much needed for people to understand, because this is something that has come out of the Indian knowledge systems. There's something called as the Indian knowledge system, from where the Jyotisha Shastra, the Ayurveda, the Niti Shastra, everything, so many big Shastras, so many contributions have happened. But most of it are, not understood properly and not utilized to the extent to which it has to be used, so that, it benefits the world. So nowadays also, when we encounter, when we talk with our patients, we understand, the problems that the society is, facing because of lack of knowledge of Ayurveda, I would say. So that is very much important, and I think this session would have really helped you to understand the concepts of Ayurveda better and to utilize it in your day-to-day activities. And I'm informed that the some aspects of dinacharya, the daily regimens, the ritucharya, the seasonal regimens, and some aspects of food, like what are the food articles that need to be taken at what time, and how they when they are consumed, how they behave in the body. So all of these are very important topics and very basics of Ayurvedic medicine. So I would like to take some of to discuss about some aspects which are uh, very relevant nowadays, and I would also like to utilize this time to tell about some of the myths that people usually have about Ayurveda. So moving about, I just heard when I joined, I just heard someone talking that Ayurveda is as Ayurveda is herbal. Ayurveda does not have any side effects, but on the contrary, the contemporary system of medicine, they use a lot of allopathic medicines, and that's why it has side effects and so on and so forth. So just to clarify one thing, is that uh, yes, looking at the point of view, if just to answer that question, that does Ayurveda have side effects or not? I think all of you would have learned in science a very basic concept that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and if something has effect, it should also have you know a side effect, is what I understand. For example, uh, it is all about the quantity and where you apply. That is more important. It's not about something uh, will not cause you any problem, even if taken in any quantity, or to any or suitable to any situation. There are people who talk about, this food is very nutritive. This food can be taken because this has a lot of nutrients. But the question that should be asked actually is, does this be is your body requiring this nutrition, or is your body in requirement of this? So these are certain things that you should be asking, and then you will understand that the quantity, the quality, and the situation in which you are taking, all of these matter. There are many variables to which this is connected. For example, a disease condition, or even if it is not, if you don't have a disease condition, even if you are healthy, the seasons, the your prakriti, the time of taking, consuming it, everything actually has an impact on it. Just for an example, I would tell, I think Dr. Gitanjali would have told about these, like the consumption of water, as someone was discussing about, asking about how water should be consumed and all. It's not that, see, even if it is water, water means, uh, in Ayurveda it says, jalam jivayati, which means that which brings life. And it's not that it's just because it is water you can take how much ever you want. It has a purpose, and drinking water means we have two aspects, like, dharaniya vega and adharaniya vega. Vega means an urge that the body creates. So there are two types of urges that the body has. One that should be, should not be suppressed, and that which should be suppressed. And that which should not be suppressed, in that comes the malamutra tyaga, everything. So, basically the, elimination of bowels, feces, sneezing, all of these. So when it comes to that, even the thirst is a vega. Vega means, uh, it is an urge of the body. So when does the body create such an urge? It's when there is, you know a depletion in the, the quantity of liquid in the body. Not so if your body requires that, then body will automatically produce that urge to have water. And it is only to quench that thirst one should be taking water. That is the actual answer for it. And that is the reason why, what I said, even if it is water, you should be consuming it in proper time. Like, there are certain rules of taking water, like, maybe when it should be taken. Dr. Gitanjali would have told about it. Madhye madhye paniyam, which means when you're taking food, you can have little bit of, sips of water if you want. But otherwise, when you're drinking water, it should be taken only after, almost the digestion is completed, not in between the digestion. That's around maybe roughly 1.5 or 2 hours. And you also wouldn't get thirsty soon after, eating food. So, and the same as with, taking, drinking water just before meals. No, that should not be done. Because it, turns off the digestifier, that the jataragni, which is required to digest your food. So if you're thirsty, you can maybe sip you can just sip 1 or 2 sips of water just before food, and then have food, and then uh, through the meal you can have a little bit of water. So that's how it should be managed. And that is why, I was saying, I was coming to the point, the quantity, the quality, the time of consumption, everything is important when it comes to, something, when it comes to, judging some food article as good or bad. So it's upon this that you say. It's not that, just because something is very nutritive, like, for example, uh, ghee or milk. Milk has a lot of nutrients, but just because it has a lot of nutrients, you should not be, drinking glasses of milk, several glasses of milk in a day. It has a quantity. So only then it gets absorbed properly, only then it digests properly, and only then it shows some result in your body. Otherwise it's just a waste, and it also causes problems. Just because, see, milk is a super food, if you would like to term it as, because it has a lot of nutrients. But just because it has a lot of nutrients, you cannot say milk is very healthy, because it's upon the quantity that you take and how you take. See, a person who has a very weak digestion, who is not even able to digest a very light meal, someone like that who is consuming, and because of that he is weak. And if you think, this person is weak, so let me advise milk which has a lot of nutrients and which will give energy, that will be totally wrong. Because you have to first kindle the digestion of that person. And without kindling the digestion, if you go on saying please consume milk because it has a lot of nutrients, give you energy, it will simply not get absorbed in the body. So such is the concepts, subtle concepts that you need to understand, which Ayurveda emphasizes on. It's all about the requirement that the body has, and that is the reason why I'm saying even Ayurveda has side effects if you take uh, it beyond the limits. And even the medicines, there are, we use herbal medicines, we use herbal mineral preparations. So when we use herbal mineral preparations and herbal preparations, it should be well within a limit. So there is a very distinct classification in Ayurveda named as, varga, known as Aushadha Varga and Ahara Varga. So if it is Ahara Varga, you can consume, like, for example, rice, wheat, or anything that you take as food. You may have it in a good quantity, or, slightly more quantity, because all the Ahara is considered to be Rasa Pradhana. Rasa Pradhana means, the it is mainly, predominant in the taste. But the Aushadha, on the other hand, is Virya Pradhana, which means it is even more potent than the Ahara Varga, which means you do not consume Aushadha in the quantity of Ahara. The quantity is very much less. And that is the reason why, because it is Virya Pradhana. Virya Pradhana means the potency. It is based on the potency. It has, very high potency if you compare it with Ahara, which is not that potent as the Aushadha. So when you're taking that, you should be very careful. And that's where the dose, the strength of the medicine, the time of consuming medicine, everything comes into play. So that is how you should understand even Ayurveda also. So if Ayurveda medicines are consumed untimely, yeah, or if it is consumed without any consultation, just because you think they are herbal preparations, you just consume it thinking that it will not cause any problems, you're wrong. It may. Just a very regular example that we come across of this is, people consuming something called as triphala. Triphala is a very common drug that we come across nowadays, in many pharmacies. All of the pharmacies, have this. So people just, they think, oh, triphala is very good for digestion. They say triphala is very good for clearing the bowels, and they consume triphala for, months and years together, and that actually ends up creating a lot of problem to people sometimes. So you should be consulting doctors, because there are many other factors which influences this. So nothing should be taken over a long period of time, apart from rasayana. So even triphala is considered to be rasayana, but there is a vidhi, there is a method of taking rasayana. So your body should be capable enough to accept rasayana to take it. So that is how it works. So you should be very careful when you're choosing such things, and that is how you should understand about the Ayurvedic concept of ahara and aushadha. And then there is something called as, I would also like to emphasize one point. This, I think, the last point that I want to emphasize on is the consumption, or the modifications that you need to do in your lifestyle. See, Ayurveda medicines work synergically. It is not that you should not compare it with the system of allopathy, which is, targeted to a particular point or particular organ or a particular system. Ayurveda does not do that. Yes, Ayurveda does have some medicines which have targets, which have affinity to certain areas, but still it requires to even, correct certain other things when you're consuming Ayurveda medicines, like we call it as ahara and vihara. Vihara means, and then comes the aushadha. So first is ahara. You have to correct the uh, type or how you're consuming food. And second is vihara. Vihara means all the day-to-day activities that you're indulging in. So there are people, who say, I have lack of sleep. I have a lot, I have disturbed sleep. I don't sleep at all, doctor. And when you ask, they say, yes, I consume food on time. That is all okay. And now you are prescribing one medicine for, then they go to doctor and ask for medicine for, lack of sleep or disturbed sleep. And probably the doctor may also give medicine for that. But if you're missing a point, that if you don't ask a question that how are you digesting your food, or when do you take your meal, especially the dinner, probably the answer would be like, I take my dinner at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or it could be 11:30, and I go to sleep immediately after that. It is, expected in such a case that the person will have a disturbed sleep, because the food that is consumed should be digested before you go to, sleep. And that is a very primary cause for your disturbed sleep. So only if you correct this aspect of lifestyle, will your medicine which you have given will work. So this is very important. So certain aspects. So, but if you take an alternative of allopathic system of medicine, if you consume a sleeping pill, you're bound to sleep. Right. You don't have to look at your digestion or things. But yes, there are differences, because such medicines cannot be consumed. Yes, it is very much required, and I surely, recommend it to be taken if in case of emergency and such things. But creating a habit of consuming that medicine and not correcting, or not even thinking of correcting your lifestyle, is a big problem. So certain things like that are very important when you consume Ayurvedic medicines. And that is what I wanted to emphasize at this point of time. And I think I would also like to answer certain questions if you have some queries. Ma'am, Nagashri Madam, if I'm permitted,
Yes, sir. Sure,
if,
sir.
yeah.
Sure, sir. You can. Anybody wants to clarify any doubts, they can raise their hands so that I can allow them. Amita Bhargava. Yeah, you can. I have allowed you.
I have a doubt
Yes, ma'am.
for Trifla, because Trifla has been recommended by Sri Ravi Shankar that it should be taken at night for everybody.
Okay.
But you have said that it should not be taken unless prescribed.
Yeah, so I'll just clarify on that. See, in Ayurvedic text, Trifla is considered to be Nitya Rasayana, and it also comes under the category which is recommended for healthy people. But if you see around, if you look around, and even myself or yourself or whomever you want to look at, you should first think or judge if your body is healthy or not before taking that. See, for example, I'll tell you the problem with the Trifla. What happens is, yes, like, there are people nowadays, the lifestyle is so erratic that, people hardly go to sleep, and people hardly have time to consume food in time. And this is how the life is for most of the people. And in this point of time, there is someone who has constipation, which means, a very dry and very hard stools. And in such case, when you consume Trifla is known to be Ruksha Dravya. Ruksha means it is a bit dry, when consumed over a long period of time. And it has a vidhi. Triphala has to be consumed in a particular manner. Only then it works as rasayana. So forgetting that, just consuming it maybe with water. There are people, I have heard of people who are consuming it with, many different things, like, even milk, they take triphala. There are so many things, people practice. So these are very, very important when it comes to consuming medicine. And triphala is considered to be an aushadha dravya, and that is why, yes, it is rasayana, it is very good for eyes, everything is there. But if you consume not looking at your gut, if already your bowels are very hard, everything, and if you consume triphala, it is bound to cause more of constipation, and it'll increase your it'll just make your digestion improper. So that is very important to be noted. And this is from my experience that I'm talking about. And yes, I have studied in Sri Ravi Shankar's college, and I know certain medicines are recommended by him. That is right. But you should also look how it has to be consumed and for whom it is being recommended.
Yeah, I take Giloy tablets, two
Yeah.
Giloy tablets every day, because I had got chikungunya, and for the muscles and the nerves, everything, they said recommended Giloy. So
Okay.
should Giloy be also taken in some other way?
Yes, all the medicines have a certain time period in which it has to be taken. See, your body has ability to re-heal, heal itself. So there is also a time period in which an aushadha has to be taken, because as I said, medicines are work in, it has a lot of potency. So it should be taken only for a short period of time, and even consuming medicines for a long period of time causes stress to the body. So it is not to be taken, lifelong. It is not like allopathic medicines, which are, done or when once put, like for diabetes or hypertension, it has to be taken lifelong. No, Ayurveda does not do that. Once in an initial phase, we start with the treatment. We give maybe kashayam, batti, or churnam, such things, and slowly we shift on to ghrutams, and then we end our treatment with rasayana, which means uh, according to conditions, you are supposed to slowly change the medicines over a period of time, and if required, when if you are recovered with that, then you are supposed to stop it. You are not supposed to take or unnecessarily burden your body with medicines. No. So you should be consuming what I recommend you is, you should be consulting a doctor, and if you have overcome the fatigue or the problems of chikungunya, you should be stopping it.
Thanks for the tips.
Jay Shri, ma'am.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
tell me.
madam.
Yeah, I just have one question to Dr. Shamsundaram. That
Yes, madam.
is it possible to come out with a combinatorial medicine where, okay, if you have some sleep list, some drugs for, you give allopathy drugs so that a person sleeps well or something, and slowly then you turn him over to your Ayurveda and teach him and find out what kind of body or problem he has, so that he doesn't have to take those sleeping medicines all his life. And be it in case of diabetes or heart, they just give medicines for entire life. Why eat all those things?
Yeah.
That was my question.
No, yeah, that is what. So that is what it. I cannot now recommend you a set of medicines which will be, helpful in sleep. So I can, at this point of time, name more than 10 medicines which is used for sleep. For example, just simple Shirvala, Brahmi, Jatamamsi. There are innumerable number of, innumerable medicines which are available for sleep. It is according to the condition and the situation uh, which can be recommended for certain people. So I cannot generalize it. It is person specific.
No, no, I am just saying for a
Yeah.
in future, can there not be a medicine which is which will combine Ayurveda and allopathy and give a better
No,
chance to
no, ma'am. No, the thing is the science, how Ayurveda looks. See, Ayurveda targets, the mechanism of, action of a medicine is very different when it comes to Ayurveda and an allopathic medicine. So
That's
you
right.
cannot bring together these. Yeah, there is, a possibility of integrative medicine, as I said.
That's right.
There are
Integrative.
certain, it is not mixing together the medicines.
No,
Integrative
no, no, not
medicine is
this.
when there is a condition which is very um, you know which has a lot of debility, or which requires immediate action. Maybe for an immediate effect, yes, allopathic medicines may be used. And like painkiller, if someone is in intense pain, uh, and or maybe a road traffic accident, something like that, you go to an allopathic doctor, right? You When you have a big, or you need to have a surgery, where there is a fracture, big fracture, open fracture, or something like that. When such things, after doing that, you may have pain. So maybe for managing the pain, you may be given some painkillers. You would have been given some sedative. Yes, all that is fine. Anesthesia, everything is fine. But after having managed that, even the allopathic orthopedics, even the doctors, they usually sometimes they refer to Ayurveda doctors, so that we have very good medicines which heal the wound. We have very good medicines which clear the marks of the skin, which
Yeah,
fastens the healing process. So there are medicines for that.
yeah,
So such things can be used.
yeah.
It's
And another,
always,
yeah, yeah.
good to have that combination. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Another thing is that all these medicines were sort of discovered or standardized way, way back, thousands of years back. That time, the lifestyle was different, and today the lifestyle is different. So,
Yes.
how is Ayurveda at, uh,
Coping up with this.
adapting to the new, new
Yes.
lifestyle?
So that's a very good question that you have asked.
Thank you.
Yes, Ayurveda was, it is considered to be Anadi.
Yeah.
So Ayurveda originated way back in the time period of Veda, or even before that. And even in Ayurveda, it is not that the same medicines or the same formulation is being used. Yes, these
Yes.
formulations, are certain formulations which are told in our texts are very old, but there
Yeah.
is always an upgradation, even seen in Ayurveda. For example,
Okay.
earlier there were herbal medicines more. If you look at Charaka Samhita, which is about 5,000 years old, you wouldn't
Yes.
come across herbo mineral preparations much. Yes, there are
Okay.
mineral preparations told in Charaka Samhita, but you wouldn't come across much of mineral preparations in that, because that is how the lifestyle was in those days, and that is how the medicines used to be. That was
Yeah.
only required. But over a period of time, to the time period of Vagbhatacharya, the time period of Ashtanga Hridaya, you see many more formulations which have herbal mineral preparations, which have certain, modifications in the medicines.
Okay.
So these are all according to the, needs, the present needs that it was. And now when you look at, there are so many patent medicines, there are so many combinations which the doctor do themselves. So all of these are based on the requirement of that particular patient, that particular situation.
Ayushi, ma'am.
Am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
me, ma'am.
Yeah. First of all, good morning, Dr. Shamsundaran. So thank you for giving us so much insight. So my question would be, there are certain autoimmune diseases. For example, there are types of many arthritis. So generally, again, I don't have that much knowledge. So I've heard that, okay, there will be some Googles they'll be prescribing, and which we have to take lifelong in the Ayurvedic only. So is it true, or there are chances that these autoimmune disease healed completely after taking these Googles for lifelong?
Yes, ma'am. It is all again, dependent on how the how severe the disease condition is, how chronic the disease condition is, and what are the comorbidities along with that. Comorbidities means what are the other diseases coming along with that. There may be a patient who has just osteoarthritis. Osteoarthritis means a degenerative condition wherein, the bones get degeneration happens to the bones, and because of that there may be pain. There could be rheumatoid arthritis. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition wherein the body considered there are many immune triggers which actually you know causes pain in the joints. If you look at Ayurvedic point of view, we attribute it to the concept of ama. Ama means indigested toxic content which gets deposited in various places of the body. So all of these actually and if you're treating a case of amavata or vata rakta, even in our text it is told that if it is nava means if the origin of the disease is new within 1 year of time, probably we may be able to reverse the condition completely. We have come across such cases where we have done that. But if a condition is very old, maybe say 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and also the patient is very weak, very old, has diabetes, hypertension, or maybe some other kind of cancer or something like that. If all of these come together, then probably the medicines that we give, we also will have limitations for that. But certainly we can help. Yeah, it all depends on the situation and how the patient responds, how the compliance is of the patient, everything.
So it's all the collective factor,
Yeah.
as in we can
Yes.
consider.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much.
Next.